Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Insecure Season 2, Episode 7, which was titled Hella Disrespectful. So I have to apologize to you guys once again for being delayed, but I promise you I am going to get it together. But this time I have a legitimate reason for being late with the recap. For the past week, we have been dealing with Hurricane Irma. So that seems to be far behind us. And if you want to know how my experience went, I did do a surviving Hurricane Irma video for you guys, and I'll leave the link below so you can check it out. But let's go ahead and get into episode 7 of Insecure. We're going to start off with Molly, and the episode opens with Issa on the phone, telling Molly all about the incident with Daniel. Remember, she was giving Daniel some head, and he told her he was about to come, but she didn't get out of the line of fire, and she got squirted all in her eye and everything. So Molly is shocked and angry, about what happened, and she's telling Issa that they need to do a drive-by, and how she's gonna get a water gun and fill it with eggs, and then she's gonna blast Daniel with the eggs. Like, they were tripping, but Molly was like, she has her girls back, and Issa's like, well, no, I don't want to do that because I feel so stupid and I'm embarrassed. He made a fool out of me, and I still don't understand why Issa is being so dramatic about this incident. And when he clearly said, I'm about to come, and she didn't get out of the way. But she's taking it personal, like he did it on purpose, and he was belittling her. And so Molly, is basically telling her, we'll get back at him, I will take care of him, you don't have to go. But Issa was like, no. So then, since they were in this moment of truthfulness and honesty, Molly decides to tell Issa that she's still sleeping with Dro, even though she told her that she had stopped. And so Issa, didn't want Molly to judge her about the whole come in the face incident. She's now judging Molly for what she did. And so, she's like, I thought it was like a one and done. And then Molly's like, it was more like 17 and counting. Like, I can't let the Negro go. It's good, Issa. It's good, Issa. So, Molly reminds Issa, that she had said that them being open was better than sneaking around. And then Issa was like, she was referring to Dro and Candace, not Molly and Dro. She still thinks that it's whack, that even if they do have a open relationship, that Molly would be sleeping with Dro, and that she's friends with both of them, and that if Dro and Candace wants to have an open relationship, that's fine, but they shouldn't be doing it with their friends. But I think we all know by now that there is no open relationship, and Candace has no idea what's going on. Then the two of them, they get to arguing and going back and forth and making little jabs at each other. So last thing we need is for Molly and Issa not to be friends, especially with Issa being in such a fragile state that she is right now. Like, she needs Molly more than ever. Someone need them to get it together. So then we move on, and Molly's in Chicago, and she's hanging out with Garrett, who's the black attorney, who she's kind of befriended out there. And so they're sharing some gourmet popcorn or something that he's bought, and he's asking Molly, if she's ready for this meeting that she's going to have with the partners to discuss them giving her a raise. And Molly lets him know that she's got it and she's feeling real confident about it. And so he tells her that he's going to be in LA in a few weeks and that he wants to hang out with her and maybe they go get dinner. So Molly's starting to feel like, okay, he may be wanting more than I'm looking for. I'm like looking for a friendship. But I still think that him and Molly are cute together and that they are probably going to end up together. So then we have a scene where Molly's back in LA, and so Dro is bringing in groceries to Molly's apartment. Now, I don't know if he had went and bought the groceries for her to cook dinner, or what was going on with them groceries. I missed that part. And so he asked Molly, did she want her key back? And I'm like, dang, Molly, you done gave the brother a key to your apartment. Like, is it really that serious? Really, really, really? Or did he already have the key because y'all were friends? But y'all just do a little too much for this man to have a wife. And you know the wife, Molly. So Molly, tells him that he can keep the key, and then they have a little kiss. And so she gives him the popcorn. Remember, Garrett done introduced her to the popcorn. Now she giving Dro the popcorn, as a gift. And so Dro brings up the fact, asking about the party that Tiffany is going to give Derek for his birthday. And then he lets her know that, I guess that was his opening to let her know that Candace was going to be at the party also. And Molly, she sighs, and Dro hugs her, to assure her that everything's going to be all right. And, he's telling her, I never meant for it to be this way. And she's like, I know. And, Dro and Molly kind of cute together, but they both out of order. So we can't be condoning this foolishness they got going on. So then the next day, Molly has her meeting with the partners at the firm. And, she's laid out all her accomplishments, including nailing a client that could net the firm like $2 million. So, she was boosting herself up, giving her credentials, and letting them know that she's been on the job. She's supportive of everybody else, how she was there for Hannah and helping Hannah with her clients, and how she's been going back and forth, between LA and Chicago, but despite all her hard work, they let her know that it isn't time for her evaluation, and that it's kind of unusual for her to be presenting, this to them instead of them coming to her saying it's time for your annual evaluation. But they say that when it is time for her annual review, that they will keep all of this in mind. Just like, okay, Molly, what you gonna do now? The ball is in your court. You got to show these jokers that you mean business, or they're gonna keep skateboarding right on over you. So then we move over to Issa. Poor Issa. She is going through it emotionally, and I really believe that girl is about to have a nervous breakdown. So Issa's on the bus, and remember when she was on the bus on the last episode, and she was looking at the Hispanic student, he was sitting across from her. Well, this time she's sitting next to him. They're on the same seat, and he's one of the students from the school that her and Frida are working at. And so he pulls out his practice SAT book, and Issa, picks up conversation and lets him know that they offer tutoring for the students, who are taking the practice SAT and ACT. And then he tells her that, he knows all about the program, but he can't come because Mr. Gaines, I think he said that Mr. Gaines told them that the course was full and that, they couldn't participate. So then Issa finally realizes that Frida was right and that Mr. Gaines is discriminating against the kids. I think she already knew that he was discriminating against the kids, but I guess she really realizes how serious it is because now she has a student that actually wanted to be in the program, whereas before the kids didn't want to be a part of it. So then Issa gets into work, and she goes over to Frida, and kind of like apologizes and let her know that she was right. And then Frida's like, where's all this coming from? And Issa gives her a list of ideas that she's written down, to get the Latino students more involved in the program. And so then Frida takes the list and she's looking at it. She's like, oh my God, even when we're beefing with each other, we're mad at each other, we're still on, one accord, and we come up with the same ideas and everything. So Issa apologized, and she was telling Frida, that she had been in a really bad space. And then Frida admits that, she was being a bitch, and that, they're too good of a team together to be letting stuff come between them. So then later that night, Issa gets a text from Tiffany, letting her know that Lawrence will be at Derek's birthday party, and she wants to know if Issa is still going to come. So then Issa screenshots the message and sends it to Molly, asking her, like, did she know that Lawrence was going to be there, and didn't say anything. But Molly lets her know that, despite what's going on between them, that she didn't know about that, and had she known, she would have let Issa know. And then she was like, but you're not going to let him run you away from the party, you're still coming. So then Issa goes on Facebook, and so she's like on Tiffany's page, and then she tries to bring up Lawrence's page, and Lawrence had to block her, y'all. I said, oh boy, Lawrence playing dirty. But aren't you supposed to block people when you break up with them? Especially when you have decided that you didn't have enough to hear what they bull crap. Like, you don't want to see them. You don't want to see what they're doing. And then, the temptation is just so great to be looking at their page like Issa is doing right now. But I'm going to tell you that look when that person goes on your page and realize that you done blocked them, I think it has to be priceless. And especially when they come back to you and say, oh, you done blocked me from your page. Like, that's pound winning, y'all, in my book. So after Issa realized that Lawrence had done blocked her, she go into one of her little mental rap sessions that she be having, and she was like going on and on about, how they had been together for 5 years, and oh, this what you doing, this how you gonna treat me. And then she was like, you fixed your pussy ass fingers to block me. I was like, okay. And then she's like, 5 years by your side, and I'm just a button. And I was just like, okay, Issa used the N-word about 100 times on this episode, and I'm just like, can she please next season be through this little phase that she going on, because between sleeping with the random men and letting nigga come out her mouth every other sentence, I'm kind of over Issa at this point. So then after she get through with the little rap and get that release out, she texts Tiffany and tells her, that she'll be at the party. She's still coming. So then the following day, Issa and Frida back at the school, and so they're passing out flyers to the students as they're getting on the bus. And then the vice principal, Gaines, comes up, and so Issa stops him. She tells him that they are looking for more Latino students to sign up. And then he's like, what? I thought the course was full. You ain't got enough students? And then Issa was like, no, we want to, include the Latino students. And so then he's saying, what did he say? So now you coming at me with some all lives matter mess. And if you want Mexicans, ain't nobody stopping you. Gonna do what you do. So then he turned around and kept walking. Oh, when he had stopped, he told them that they had gotten food poisoning from the pot pies that the cafeteria had made, and there goes his mop bucket for the and there goes his mop budget for the year. So then, they had the little confrontation. So he turns around and he walks off. So then Issa gonna get all bold and call the man out. And she wanted to yell at to him that, he was holding the Latino students back. And I'm like, oh, Issa, like, you don't make free to get your behind whooped out there. Now, you done told the man that you want more Latino students. You ain't got to be calling them out in front of all the students and the staff, because everybody stopped and looked. And so he turned around and he came back and he looked at her and looked at Frida, because I think Frida jumped into it at that point. It was like, we're an all-inclusive program and we want to serve all the students. So he looked at Issa and started laughing and was like, calm down, girl. Ain't nobody dead. Like, it ain't no big deal. Bring in whoever you want to bring in. But I don't know, Mr. Gaines, they may set you up and you lose your job, or he may have them pull the whole program from the school and say that they don't want Issa and them there, or he may not care. He might be his mind may be somewhere else, because where is the principal of the school? Like, he seems to be making all the decisions, but he's just the vice principal. So we'll see where that whole little situation goes, because I think there's only one more episode left to the end of the season. So later on, Issa's getting ready for the party, and Daniel calls. So he wants to apologize, and, Issa tells him, what he did was messed up and it embarrassed him. I'm just like, Issa, let it go. And then Daniel, he was like, he was sorry and he didn't mean for it to happen. And so, she was still being hard, and he go, ease. And when I tell you, when he said that, because for some reason, every guy that I have ever dated has wanted to call me Trace. And I'm thinking, I got a pretty simple name, Tracy. 5 letters. Ain't that hard. But they always want to say Trace this and Trace that. Well, I had a boss. So he used to always say, well, he got to whine and wanted me to do something for him. He was like, Trace, come on now, Trace. And so when Daniel said ease, I wanted to throw my tablet across the room, because that was just like fingernails going down the chalkboard, So Issa was like, okay, so she gave in, and then Daniel, after she said she forgive him, and they get back on track for about 2 seconds, and then Daniel said, well, I guess we're even now. So he was talking about, the way Issa had treated him had nothing to do with him squirting in her face, but of course Issa took it that way, and the conversation took a very sharp left turn because Issa went ballistic on him with the cussing him out, telling him he was a punk ass nigga, he was this, he was that, and that he was childish, why is he playing tit for tat? And then Dave was like, okay, that's not what I meant. But by then, Issa wasn't hearing nothing he had to say. She told him that she hated him, she never want to talk to him again, they never want to see him again, don't ever call her again. And I'm just like, can somebody get Issa to a doctor? Like, Molly, when you go see your psychiatrist again, can you take Issa? Because Issa is about to implode. So for the party, Issa's brother is her +1. Like, poor Issa. Like, when you relegated to dating your brother, like your brother has to accompany you everywhere, it is really, really a sad situation. So she gets in the car and she slams the car door, and then her brother, was like, what's wrong with you? And then she cussed him out, called him the N-word. So, like, okay, Issa, calm down, sis, calm down. So now we move over to Lawrence. So Lawrence is at work, and he's hanging out with his coworkers, and then one of the coworkers brings up the fact that him and Aparna had went to the movies or something over the weekend, and they're like, oh, is that the theater, with the swivel seats or the reclining seats or something like that. So Lawrence is trying to play it off like, oh, it wasn't no big deal, just, something to do. And then Aparna's looking at him like, oh, it was just something to do. And so then one of the co-workers asked if they were an item now, and then Lawrence says that, they just hung out, it was no big deal. And then Aparna was like, yep, that's what I said. But you can tell she's kind of like in her feelings like, okay, why are you trying to deny me? Later on, Lawrence goes to, I think he went to Aparna's office, and so he was trying to explain to her that, he doesn't like people being in his business, and, he wants to take things slow. And so she's like, that's cool with me, whatever you want to do. And then he lets her know that he had rushed into, when him and Issa broke up, that he rushed into the relationship with Tasha, and that he just, he wants to take things slow. And so Aparna, she's basically like, I understand, whatever you say. And then he asked her, if they were still on for drinks. And, she was like, yeah, we can still go have drinks. So when, I think it was later that evening, they were getting ready to get off, and they were in the stairwell. And then Lawrence was coming down the stairs, and Aparna was going up the stairs, and then he lets her know that he remembered he had this party to go to, and so would it be okay that instead of meeting at 7, they meet at 10? And then Aparna was like, oh, we could just go to the party together and then go have drinks. And I'm thinking, Lawrence, I don't know if that would be safe for you to do, because remember, it's not just going to be Issa at the party. It's going to be Issa, Kelly, Molly, and Tiffany at the party, so you might not be safe. And Derek is a punk, and he might not come to your rescue if they jump on you. But Lawrence said, okay, if you down for it, I'm down for it. So 2 of them are going to go to the party together. So now it is party time. So I really like the little setup that Tiffany had. They were like upstairs or something, or in a separate part of a restaurant, and they had like the family style seating, and I think they had their own little bar up there, and they had some signature drinks, the Tiffany and the Derek, and just really nice. And that's one thing I can say. Tiffany be putting on some good events, and maybe I need to get into the event planning business, because everything she does seems to be a success, and even when she's throwing a party for her friends, it always, turn out nice. So the guests are arriving for the party, and Molly is hanging with Kelly and Sweetie. And remember, Sweetie was the guy that she met at the wind down that they had earlier in the season. And so I was surprised that Kelly was still with Sweetie. Or was Sweetie the guy? Yeah, I think he was the guy, the one that was fingering her under the table at the restaurant that night. So then Molly and Dro are standing together talking, and then I think Candace arrived with Derek. I think that was how it went, but she came over, and so, oh, before Candace walked up, when Dro came over to talk to Molly, because Molly was by the bar, he was telling her, oh, you wore my favorite dress, and she was like, yeah, and I'm just like, really, Molly, and you knew his wife was going to be there, so you just going to seduce him while y'all at the party and the wife standing there. So that was like a foul move, Molly, on your part. Candace comes over and she goes to hug Molly, but she wastes her drink on Molly. So then, Molly's like, oh, it's no big deal. She's wiping it off. And then Dro decides that he's going to go get Molly another drink. So there was just like real awkward moment between Candace and Molly as they're standing there, and then they were like, trying to crack little jokes to ease the tension and everything until Dro got back. And I was just like, what must that be like, knowing that you're sleeping with this woman's husband? And Molly know that she out of line, because if she really believed at this point that they were in an open marriage, she would have said something to Candace. She would be like, girl, thank you for loaning me your husband. Like, Dro and I have been having so much fun. But, we already said that the real thing should have been that Molly contacted Candace before she slept with Dro, and then that would have eliminated any of this. So then the party starts, and Tiffany, had given everybody assigned seats. But Miss Molly must be then realized that, because then she like toddled her little butt over there and tried to sit next to Dro. So it was like Candace, Dro, and then Molly. And then Tiffany was like, we got seating arrangements here, and I need you to abide by your placement. Get your butt over there. So Tiffany had her sitting like far, on the other end of the table. So then Issa and her brother arrive, and Issa decides, not to drink at first. And she sits next to Molly, and they, are like exchanging pleasantries. They're not really being, hey girl, how you doing? Good to see you. So, they still got that tension going on. Then Lawrence and Aparna arrive. So, it was like, wait, what's going on? So, it was like that awkward pause where everybody looking like, what the hell? But Miss Kelly, she didn't hold back. She was like, no, this nigga didn't. Like, what nerve do he have? And like, Kelly is that real friend that you want. Like, when stuff jump off, you want Kelly to be there with you. So then, Lawrence is feeling like, oh, well, yeah, we can leave. I didn't understand. I didn't think it was going to be like, assigned seats and all of this stuff. But Tiffany is like, oh no, don't worry about it. Come on in, have a seat. So they're like trying to make room for him, and they're telling everybody, slide down, slide down. And then Kelly, they were trying to move the table settings also. So you have all them forks and spoons and all that stuff. So then they got the forks all mixed up. And Kelly was like, wait a minute, I got 8 forks over here. And then Tiffany, she's like, girl, just move down. Like, Tiffany's like, I don't care what's going on. Y'all not getting ready to mess up my man's birthday party. I put too much work into this. So then Lawrence, he introduces Aparna to everybody. And then Aparna says, oh, or you can call me the random girl that showed up to the party uninvited. So that kind of like broke the tension, and everybody laughed about it. And so Issa, at that point, she decided she needed a drink, because she can't believe that this is happening, that Lawrence showed up at her friend's party with another woman, and then a non-black woman at that. And I guess she probably was like, well, what happened to Tasha? Like, she was okay with Tasha the hood rat, because she felt like she still had a chance. But now we got Aparna, the Indian chick, who's probably very smart, might be a doctor or something, if her last name is Patel. Now Issa's kind of feeling threatened, like, okay, I can't compete with this woman. So then Molly gets frustrated, that she can't join the conversation with Dro and Candace. And then she was like, I think they were talking about something, and Tiffany said, oh, what was that? And then Molly answered the question, but then Tiffany ignored her. And then when Candace said the same thing that Molly said, all of a sudden Tiffany started laughing. And then that got me to wondering if Tiffany knows that Dro and Molly are sleeping together, because she was being kind of cold towards Molly. Or is she always cold towards Molly? Like, maybe she treats Molly like that because she thinks Molly is a hoe, and she probably doesn't trust Molly around Derek, because she probably feels that if Molly is sleeping with all these other men, that she'll sleep with her man too. Because you always have that one insecure friend that does that. And I did a video about insecure women. I think I'm gonna put that link down here in the bottom as well. So then Issa, she's getting buried in the alcohol and she's feeling some kind of way. And so while they're sitting at the table and everybody is talking and making their little wisecracks under their breath, there was another couple there. And so they were like asking Lawrence, how did he know Tiffany and Derek? And so Lawrence said that they met through his ex. And so then the girl was like, oh, your ex? And then she looks down the table and she goes, oh, is Issa your ex? So then Tiffany gets up, clinking the glass like, oh, I want to give a toast to Derek. And so then while she's giving the toast, she said something about, she was glad that all her friends, were able to come out to celebrate. And then Issa was like, oh, and random people. And then Tiffany kind of like shushed her, like, you're not getting ready to ruin my party, so knock it off. And then Issa, she gets up from the table and then walks out. And then Molly looks at Lawrence and then she like nods her head like, oh, you better go after her. So then Lawrence gets up to go after Issa. So he tries to explain, what happened once they get outside, and Issa wasn't having it. And she was like, you're so full of shit, and Issa is just, I've already said it 100 times already. She is bugging and just all in her feelings and taking things personal as an insult against her. So the two of them start to arguing, and then Issa calls out Lawrence for parading Aparna around and blocking her on Facebook. And then Lawrence says that he blocked her because he was tired of seeing her and Daniel in pictures together. Because remember, he's friends with Kelly and Tiffany. So when they're posting pictures, of them out, having fun and stuff, then he's seeing those pictures as well. And so then he asked her if she was still sleeping with Daniel. And she was like, why do you care? And then he was like, of course you're still screwing him. And, who else did you screw while we were together? And Issa calls Lawrence out, for having sex with her when he was dating Tasha. And, Lawrence was basically like, Tasha was jump off, but what difference does it make? He was like, because you was screwing this fake ass producer jump off, was that any better, than what I did? And then he was like, I bet he's a real dude. And, that's what you like. And he was just going off, getting all emotional in his feelings. And then Issa was like, he's got more going on than whoop whoop. So I was like, but just beat him when he down, Issa. Stab him in the heart. So then she goes in on Lawrence, bringing up how she supported him while he was on unemployment, calling him depressed and, out of luck. And then she looked at her phone and said, I ain't seen a whoop whoop on my phone yet. And then, Lawrence was like, well, I'm going to get the final say so in this one. Told her that, despite all she did for him and the time that she put up with him, being unemployed, it probably still wasn't as much time as she spent being a hoe. Actually, he said an effing hoe. And I was like, oh my God. And and I think Issa replied back and called him a pussy ass nigga or something like that. And I was thinking to myself, now, if I'm having an argument with somebody that I'm supposed to love and care about, like despite what we've gone through, when we get to calling each other names, because you can't call me a hoe, a bitch, a slut, any of those derogatory terms and think we gonna rebound from that. There's like no coming back from that. And if I get to the point where you have me so angry that I call you a pussy ass nigga or anything like that, we never ever getting back together again, because I think that is like a point of no return, and that the relationship could never ever. To me, calling each other names like that is on the same level as when you go and sleep with somebody else, or if I went and slept with somebody else. It's just some lines that are crossing a relationship that you just can't come back from. And that would be one of them, and we just ain't get back together no more. We might mend our fences, but as far as being in a relationship, that ain't ever happening again. So at that moment, Miss Aparna comes down. So she looks at Lawrence, and Lawrence was like, okay, I gotta go. So not only had he called Issa a hoe, he then walks off hand in hand with the other woman. And Issa is feeling some kind of way, like I said earlier, him showing up with Aparna was on a whole other level than him showing up with, if he had shown up with Tasha. So Issa is probably suicidal at this point. So then when Aparna and Lawrence get in the car, he's still angry. And so she's trying to console him and suggest that they still go and have drinks like they, had said they were going to do. And so Lawrence agrees. And then when we see them in the restaurant, they're like sitting at the table and she's asking him, does he feel better? And next thing I know, Lawrence reached over and pulled Miss Aparna in his arms and bust some slob down her throat. And so I say, let me find out Lawrence about to fall in love with Miss Aparna. And I can't even be mad at him because I kind of like Aparna. She just got that little spitfire about her that Lawrence probably needs and that she's probably going to keep him motivated. So then we go back inside the party and they're singing happy birthday to Derek. Issa's still out there on the sidewalk, but in a state of shock. But inside, everybody else is singing happy birthday to Derek and, toasting to his birthday. And then Dro, bends over to Candace and tell her he's about to go to the bathroom. And then on his way out, I guess he cut Molly a look. Because next thing we know, Molly excused herself and went to the bathroom too. And then I can't remember if they were outside the bathroom, like where people could see them, but then the two of them were like talking and Dro was telling Molly, that he was sorry, that Candace was there and that he hadn't been able to spend that much time with her. And then I think he bent down and kissed her. And I'm just like, that's what y'all doing in front, like anybody could walk up. So that's thing I know, the two of them was in that bathroom and Dro had then dropped his pants and his drawers and had then jacked Molly up on the counter and them two was just going at it. I was just like, what if somebody walk in the bathroom? I hope y'all lock the door. But honey, when they finish, wives and girlfriends, I want y'all to pay close attention. Because if you notice, Dro pulled up his pants, put his little wee-wee back into place, and kissed Molly on the cheek and told her to wait a few minutes before coming out of the bathroom. And he walked out, and I'm like, are you really getting ready to walk out this bathroom, go back out there, sit next to your wife with another woman's coochie juices on your penis? Like, you got to go home to your wife. What if y'all get in the house and she all frisky and you done forgot that you done slept with Molly and now you about to screw your wife? Like, what if your wife get ready to go down on you in the car and you got Molly all over your penis? Like, that is so dirty and so nasty. And so Molly back in the bathroom feeling like a hoe, feeling like a hooker. Like, she ain't feeling too special in this moment. And so she straightened herself up and then she finally decides to go out the bathroom. And when she walks out the bathroom, Issa is standing there. So I don't know if Issa heard what was going on, if Issa saw Dro come out of the bathroom, but there was like no words spoken. Issa just fixed on Molly's dress and fixed her hair and make sure she was okay. And then Issa had a price tag still hanging on her dress, and so Molly ripped it off and handed it to her. And then Issa was like, I was planning on taking that outfit back to the store. And so they didn't really say anything to each other, but they just gave each other this look like, we are both at our lowest points in our life right now, and we are all we have. So your secret is safe with me. And, it was just like that unspoken friendship that only this person understands what you're going through without you ever having to say a word. So then Molly went outside, I think, and she called her mom. And so she asked her mom, when the dad cheated on her, why did she take him back? And then the mom, basically explains to her that, her love outweighed the cheating. And she says, I know it's going to sound stupid, but I really loved your dad and I wanted our marriage to work. And I think at that moment, Molly realized that Dro was full of crap and that he's probably telling her, whatever to get her to sleep with him, and that Candace really loves Dro and probably isn't going to leave Dro and would probably forgive Dro just like her mother forgave her dad. And so she really has gotten used. And so she gets home and then Dro texts her and, he's kind of like apologizing, making sure she's okay. And then Molly texted back and said that, you know, she can't do this anymore and that she doesn't want to see him again. And so then the show ends with Issa, and Issa returns home, and when she gets to her front door, there's a notice on the door. And it was like, if the night couldn't get any worse, it just did, because the notice was letting her know that there was going to be a significant increase in her rent. And remember, you know, the neighborhood is going through gentrification, and so they're trying to move all the poor black people out to bring in the white people, and that's one of the things that they do. They raise your rent. And so she gets inside and she tears up the notice, and then she just, all the pent-up anger just came out, because Issa looked at that burnt spot that's still on her ceiling, and then I think she just thought about all the hell she has been catching, and she tore her apartment up. I mean, she knocked over the bookcases, she flipped the table with the dishes still on it, she broke everything in that apartment. I'm saying, oh my God, Issa, I know you upset, but don't tear up your own stuff, because I'm telling you, now I had some bad breakups in my lifetime, but I ain't never, ever tore up my own stuff. I might go tear up your stuff. And as a matter of fact, I used to date this guy. This was like when I was really, really young. I'm thinking, I may have been like 21, 22 years old, and I had given him $500 that put down on this car from this like buy here, pay here dealership, and that joker had nerve to cheat on me. So I just politely went right over there, and it was a stick shift. I took a knife and I cut the gear shift out. So I'm like, you won't be riding nobody around in this car, because you won't be driving this car. So I might tear up your stuff, but I ain't tearing up my stuff. So you guys let me know, have you ever gone through a breakup and it was so hurtful that you broke your own stuff? Like, that's just crazy to me. And do you guys think that Issa and Lawrence have a chance in hell of ever getting back together again? Leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and share the video on your social media platforms to help me grow my channel. And until the next time, guys, I shall talk to you later, and everybody have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.